Welcome back to another sci-fi episode where finances and psychology collide. And today we're going to continue to examine how teenagers think, feel, and behave with money, or at least how we would want to encourage them to think, feel, and behave with money. I'm going to continue the book review, Personal Finance for Teens 101, The Ultimate Guide to Budget, Save, and Invest for Early Financial Independence. This is written by Freddie Grant. And this book for parents, if you did not know, if you didn't catch that in the first episode, which highly recommend that you go listen to the first episode. There's a lot in there on the very first part of this book review. But this is also available on audio as well. So if you're not normally a book reader, this is something you can listen to during your commute or while you're working out or doing other things, piddling around the house, but definitely something that should you decide to get this book for your child, you want to read it so you can answer questions, have discussions. And just to reiterate what I said in the first episode, a cautionary note that this book is a good book, but it will not provide what your teen desperately needs. And that involves ongoing discussion. And it also involves your modeling healthy financial practices as well. And if you struggle with that, if you are a Team Redstone Arsenal member, you can call 256-876-6299 to reach me for individual financial counseling. If you're not here at Redstone Arsenal and you just enjoy listening, you could also seek some education and coaching through your bank. And a lot of times that's free, but that comes with a cautionary note as well. Sometimes they'll want to sell you products that you may not need or may not understand. And all you have to say is, I'm just here for the education. And that's okay too. All right. So here we go. We're now in chapter 6. He talks about the savings code, and he gives a wonderful quote by Warren Buffett. Do not save what is left after spending, but spend what is left after saving. Oh, that is so good. And I've actually started incorporating some of the quotes that I found in this book in some of my educational classes. So thank you, Freddie Grant, for these wonderful quotes. In this chapter, he says, I quote, "We delve into the essential skills and strategies for cultivating a robust savings habit," end quote. And that's what it's all about. If there's one thing that I like to provide to adults with financial education is getting into a habit of savings does take time and effort. It's not always about the amount itself. It's just about getting into the habit. So let's say for folks that may have a negative money mindset with a scarcity mindset, I don't have enough, I don't make enough. Only individuals who have a higher income has the luxury to save. First of all, that's incorrect. It's a faulty belief. And I'm not trying to make you feel bad if that's something that you have experienced, because you might be angrily thinking, well, Olivia, you don't understand my circumstances. You don't understand what is going on. And you're right, I don't. But let me empathize and validate that it can be hard to find some money to put away for savings. But what we're talking about here is even if you can just buy $5 or find $5 to put away every month, just getting into a habit, what that does psychologically is if you've saved $5 a month for 5 months and you see, wow, I got $25 sitting in a savings account, that does something for you. And it's motivational. You start tapping that area of your brain where you want to do more of what is working. And that's all he's talking about here, is getting that teenager into a habit of savings. And he shows them throughout this chapter how to do that. So, setting a savings goal. He even talks about why you even start now. And it really is all about getting into that habit. And then he breaks down how to save for something you really want. So maybe the first part of this chapter, if they kind of gloss over it and they're just like, okay, that is all good. But once they get here, I notice for myself, it's like, oh yeah, I started listening for myself. Okay, yeah, I want to listen to this too. And maybe there's something I'll get out of this. And I did, even for myself as an adult. So he breaks it down. He states, know how much you need to save. And here's what adults typically do, and here's what we need to teach our teens to not do, is we'll just have in our mind's eye just a free-floating amount that is not tied or tethered to anything. And then we think that we're saving towards something, and then we give up. And part of the problem is that we never even identified the amount that we really need. So there's a start. What is the true amount? And a lot of folks might get stuck, I'm confused with saving and investing. I'm confused with nest egg versus what I need to save for short term. So get nest egg out of your mind. Get long-term savings out of your mind. This is a short-term savings goal. So asking yourself, how much do I need to save? And then he goes further to say, know what to set aside. So here's his quote. Once you have your target number, break it down into smaller, manageable saving increments. For example, and everyone's going to know this one. That's not part of his quote, but parents, listen up. If you need $300 for a new phone and have 6 months to save, you'll need to set aside $50 each month. End quote. That right there, that simple sentence structure just breaks down for them a more manageable goal. And so many kids aren't getting this information. Now some high schools do provide some level of financial education, but a lot of them are offered only as electives. So a lot of kids are not getting this information. Then he goes on to say, incorporate this savings amount into your monthly budget. Treat it like a fixed expense, similar to how you would handle a bill or a subscription. End quote. I love this. So he's like, don't treat a savings goal every month like a variable expense. Like, if I don't get to it, it's fine. I didn't have to have it. No, treat it like a fixed expense. So you see where I'm going with this. This is good stuff even for adults. And here's another one, save without thinking about it. And he talks about setting up automatic transfers. And then the one I love the most, making the necessary sacrifices. We can't build up something in our children's minds that it's going to be easy to save. We can't build up a notion that you'll be able to save your money without any sacrifices whatsoever. Go ahead and talk about the things that would lure them away from saving, or the dangers once they have savings set up. What would be a danger in them veering off of their savings goal? So it might be a vacation where a friend invites them to go on vacation. They need so much money. They can say no to that vacation to continue with their savings goal. That might be a sacrifice they need to make so that they could reach that savings goal. And what our culture, because remember, our culture and societal influences heavily influence our money mindsets, even your teenagers. What our culture is telling our kids, if you don't have the money, just put it on credit. You don't have to sacrifice anything. And is that what parents are modeling possibly to their kids as well? That's not healthy financial management. That's learning how to spend credit, not learning how to spend cash. We want to help our children, and this is what Freddie Grant reveals in this book, we want to help these kids learn how to spend cash, not credit. Now, granted, he goes into understanding credit, and if you will be using credit, how to use credit wisely. But saving and good financial practices and learning how to spend cash does come with some level of sacrifice. I like how he gives it to them in reality. It's not sugar-coated. And our kids need to hear this from folks other than parents. Okay, next chapter, chapter 7, savvy spending. Here's a Swedish proverb that he quotes. He who buys what he does not need steals from himself. So good. I'll let you soak that in. Let me say it one more time. He who buys what he does not need steals from himself. So wise. I really like that quote. It gets to the heart of this chapter. So again, how are you going to be a savvy consumer, and how are you going to be a savvy spender? And here's where he really gets into the weeds with tracking weekly expenses. And he really underscores the importance of tracking everything. Number 1, identify unnecessary expenses. Set a goal, track your progress, and reflect at the end of the week. Not only are you tracking, but he's encouraging reflecting. And that's such a great practice and a habit to get into. And I think adults could use that information as well. Chapter 8, build your future fortune through investing. And he breaks down this chapter in investing, again, validating for teenagers that there are teens that are investing. There are teenagers who do have a leg up and understand markets, understand stocks, understand different investment principles. And so why not go ahead and learn yourself? And he goes into understanding the benefits of compound interest, and he provides an example for folks. And the examples that he provides, I mean, these are other teenagers that he's providing examples on, and really the difference that it can make. I want to read through this long paragraph because I think this is beneficial for the parents to hear as well, because this is actually found on page 80. When you look at the book, if you wanted to follow along and go over this with your teenager, this is a powerful example. I quote, "Suppose you had 1,000 and put that in a savings account where it wasn't gaining any interest. You then continued to save an additional $100 every month in that account. At the end of 10 years, you'd have $13,000 in the account. Not bad. But if instead you invest that $1,000 in stocks at an average annual rate of 8%, which he states is a reasonable average return, and contribute an additional $100 every month by the end of 10 years, you'd have a total of $20,514. That's a big difference. And thanks to compound interest, the longer you keep the money invested at that rate, it will continue to grow exponentially. At the end of 20 years, it would be $63,829. At the end of 30 years, it would be $159,972. That's pretty good for starting out with just $1,000. End quote. So he breaks it down. Teenagers can put enough away. Let's say they don't get to 1,000, but let's say they get to 500. That's doable. I've seen it. I mean, even when I was living in poverty, I could have come up with $500. I had a job. And if someone had told me at a very young age that that's how you do it. And now, granted, I did meet my husband when I was 18, and we didn't get married for 3.5 years later, but he started teaching me these money principles, and I started learning. But had I learned earlier, I would have done different things with my money as well. So he talks about how early investment is not just about the money, but how it also instills financial discipline. And that is a key skill. And wouldn't it be nice if you were doing like a little book club with your teenager and you were having these discussions and you both were each other's accountability partners? That could be some awesome QT or quality time. He goes into talking about, with investing, how patience is a virtue, talks about sticking to long-term commitments, being consistent, investing with the mind and not the heart, balancing their portfolio. and maintaining diversification, and even understanding their investment philosophy and their risk tolerance. He talks about it all. These are all the things that I talk to adults about. But again, in this book, it's written at their reading level, and it's really good to digest as well. So again, parents, if you're one of those that you're listening, you're like, man, this actually does sound like a good personal finance book. Don't be too ashamed to buy one for yourself and use this for your own financial education as well. So chapter 9, he talks about getting credit wise. He provides a quote by Tyler Gregory. If you don't take good care of your credit, then your credit won't take good care of you. End quote. Oh, I love that quote because that is what I see day in and day out. So many folks who have great incomes, but horrible credit scores. They just did not manage their debt well. But it doesn't mean the end of the road. And again, that's not an insult. It's just, hey, this is reality, but there's always something that you can do about it. But before these kids even get to that place, they're given early intervention. They're given early education by Freddie Grant. Here's a quote from his book. The truth is that credit can be a powerful tool if used wisely. It can help you achieve major financial goals, like buying a car or financing your education. However, mismanagement of credit can lead to debt that hampers your financial well-being, end quote. And that's the message that I try to get across to so many folks. This isn't something that has to continue. But again, he's saying that credit, it's not that credit is bad. It's what you do with it. It's how you respect it and use it wisely. Parents, this is amazing. He will spell out for you how to help your child build credit. That's probably the number one question that I get from parents who are finally working with their teens on money. And I would venture to say that a lot of times helping them with their tax return or talking about building credit is usually the first time that they're talking about financial planning with their kids. And I'm not saying that's bad. I think if you're helping them with those things, that's wonderful and that's a great start. But there's so much more than just building credit and tax planning. And again, it's all covered here. He talks about authorized users on a parent's account, trust, and all those things that teens can do to build that trust with their parents. You can co-sign for a credit card. There are some other options that are listed here as well with the different types of cards. So there are so many ways that you can look at this. And as I even think of my own teenager, we're going to start her off with a gas card based on our own agreements with her and how she's helping us with her sister. We are paying for all of her gas because it helps us out and it costs us less money for her to do these things for her. So we're paying for all of her gas. So we'll get her a gas card, but we will put the money in her account for her to pay it off monthly. So that will help her build her credit. And if for some reason we can't find a gas card, we're actually going to be looking at that soon. If we can't find those anymore, then we'll be going with the authorized user method. But no, parents, if you go with the authorized user credit card, you are responsible for that debt. So if you have a security clearance, make sure you trust your child. Have lots of discussions, no cash advances, nothing like that. Talk about those things, those cautions, have a contract with them, what will happen if they misuse, and also keep a look on that credit, maybe even daily, to make sure that it's being used in the manner it's supposed to be used. And then showing them even how to monitor their credit report. There are so many adults that don't even know how to do that. And then it goes into debt management. What is the difference between secured debt, unsecured debt? What's the difference between bad debt versus good debt? And he talks about only using debt for needs and not wants. What a great quotable quote. Only use debt for needs and not wants. So if you do take out an educational loan, getting that loan in such a way where it's actually meeting needs and not wants, where it's actually paying for tuition, where it's paying for books and lab fees, but not for a lavish lifestyle, not for you to live off campus and rack up $2,000 rent monthly payments and things of that nature. Now, I do understand some folks have different needs. Maybe there are special needs that are involved. But again, if you use that rubric, only use debt for needs, not wants, you can't go wrong. Okay, and then he also gives the best advice that I think is in this book. If you can't afford it, don't use a credit card to buy it. I think that should be on marquees everywhere, just reminding folks daily. And to have an emergency fund to fall back on. And he even asks, and he has several questions for parents and teens to go over. Are you even ready for a credit card? And then chapter 10, planning for the long game. Major purchases, so buying your first car, planning for college, how to look for scholarship money and other resources. And if you're paying for your own college, how to do that. Moving out of the house. He talks about those things because we know we have teenagers that's their goal. I want to move out and I want to be able to live on my own. And finally, he talks about vision boarding. And one of the reasons I love this book is because, one, he talks about the financial mindset, which is a therapist's dream. But he also talks about vision boarding, which follows the solution-focused therapy method, where visualizing what you actually want. Not visualizing what you don't want, but what vision boarding does is it helps you visualize what you actually want in life. And he talks about all the materials that you need, how to put it together, and what a gift. If your child does this and then talks about it with you, what their goals in life are, you gain access to a part of your child's brain that was otherwise inaccessible, helping draw out for themselves something that was inaccessible before this activity. A lot of folks will just mentally account for what they want to do or talk about what they want to do, but to actually put it down on paper and then to be able to explain it to somebody, it solidifies that vision for their lives. It's extremely psychologically grounding and powerful and helps with goal setting. So I hope you enjoyed this book review for Personal Finance for Teens 101, The Ultimate Guide to Budget, Save, and Invest for Early Financial Independence, written by Freddie Grant. And use it wisely, have some discussions, and if you found this helpful, please remember to rate and review the pod wherever you listen. Thanks for listening.